The House is resumed. Members, the House is considering the first reading of the Resource Management Restricted Duration of Certain Discharge and Coastal Permits Amendment Bill. I think it's New Zealand First Call. Andrew Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And how pleased I was that I didn't have a split call, having had 3 or 4 split calls at 6 o'clock in the last few months. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to rise on behalf of New Zealand First in support of the Resource Management Restricted Duration of Certain Discharge and Coastal Permits Amendment Bill. Mr. Speaker, we do support this bill. We see merits in this moving through to committee stage because I think there's a serious and significant issue here which needs to be debated and needs to go before the select committee which I'm on, the Environment Committee. Mr. Speaker, New Zealand prides itself on its image of 100% pure. We have the Prime Minister is the Minister of Tourism, who is on record as saying how important it is for New Zealand's image that we do have the 100% pure image. We do pride ourselves on what we offer in this country, in the South Pacific, in terms of our ability to provide a very pure, clean, green environment in New Zealand, and we trade on that logo, we trade on that motto, and we trade on the fact that we do have something quite special to offer to the world. However, New Zealand does have a situation which we must be very mindful of, that at times there can be discharges into our waterways, into our coasts, into our foreshores, and those discharges can be ongoing and they can be serious and they can be in place for a considerable amount of time. That therefore must surely undermine the whole premise of being 100% pure. And it's for this very reason that our member, Catherine Delahunty, has brought this bill to this House, because there have been instances, and we've heard tonight in the House the instances of the Kawerau River, where discharges have been ongoing for a considerable amount of time, for many, many years and continuing, which basically need to be brought to a head and need to be sorted out once and for all. And there will be other instances very similar to this around New Zealand which should also be addressed. And any member in this House that is not prepared to allow this, or any party that is not prepared to allow this to at least to go through to the Local Government and Environment Committee for further consideration to see what are the real issues here, to see what should we be addressing in this country in terms of these discharges, I think is doing a disservice to the environment of New Zealand and doing a disservice to the people of New Zealand. We are the guardians in this Parliament of the environment and the guardians of what is good and what is bad in New Zealand. And in this respect, where there are perhaps things going on within New Zealand that are not in accordance with what we would wish, whether it's our wishes politically, party-wise, or even personally, we should at least have the decency to put this through to committee stage, to allow it to be fully debated, to allow the public of New Zealand to have input on this, to have the businesses of New Zealand to have input on this, and to allow a full and frank debate on the issue. If we just brush it under the carpet, and if we don't allow this bill to go forward, and we don't allow this bill to have some traction and at least see a reasonable amount of light, then basically we are turning a blind eye to the 100% pure image of New Zealand and saying we have it, but we really actually don't want to own up to some issues which we should be confronting. Mr. Speaker, I've been involved with a lot of RMA issues over many, many years through local government. I know what can occur, what is good, what is bad in terms of the Resource Management Act, what can occur in terms of good and bad in terms of discharges. And there are issues around discharges, we all know. There are situations where discharges are well treated, they're taken care of, whatever is discharged into whichever waterway is fully treated, or into the sea or into our coastline, through our sewage systems, through our water systems, through our treatment plants, all these sort of things, which need long-term consents. But where there is a direct discharge into a waterway which is ongoing, which is actually a pollutant, and which is bad for the environment, and which is definitely having an adverse effect on our waterways and our coastline, we should address it. This member's bill does that. It brings it to the attention of this House, and every party and every member of this House should be supporting it to give the environment the benefit of the doubt in this first instance. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Todd McClay.
Thank you. As the Member of Parliament for Rotorua, of which Kawarau, the river and